there's a number of people out there that are going to do what they want to do and not listen to anybody. But when they go through the process and then see how they're getting stuck, that's where we come in. So
yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you, but that's why it's even more important, I think, for people up and coming. You have your relations, but people who are in a much worse position than you have an opportunity with this platform to make introductions. And I've trained some of the people outside New York who ask me what's the right approach. And I asked them, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, are you open to introductions from me and my local business community? And of course they are. Of course, people want introductions. It may not be a referral, but it's, you two can meet and see what can happen. So that's really the point of giving people a chance to maximize a local exposure in a way that, we can't do all day. You're working in your career. There's not a way to network all day long. Can't happen.
Well, it's definitely necessary.
Yeah, it's powerful. So with that trust is under attack, it's more important to offer value. And I say, people say, you've heard realtors, of course, say, market to your sphere, right? But I always say, well, what do they get? If you're marketing to your sphere, aren't you just broadcasting more information about yourself? You're not, what's in it for them? And people say the silly answer, knowledge. Or I say, whoa, I mean, they may not want knowledge. They may want to promote their business, or they may need to use the Angelino PlugIntro platform as a way to use like an Angie's List and find some roofers and find some, what do you call it? Orthodontist, or put it out there. I need an orthodontist, or maybe find some people whose kids have straight teeth and ask them. Right? But you need that person-to-person contact.
You definitely do. I'm a big believer in it, and as you are. So, what you're doing is good work, man.
Yeah. Well, and thanks for saying that. But I mean, that's the only way to give success. And I know that asking for business is not the answer, and really bothering people. And, it puts you in a bad position where you continue to have to ask. But if you were to provide people something that they benefit from, I mean, listen, every realtor in America wants more local exposure. And now the lenders and the title companies and people like you have the right to just offer it to them simply the way you did today. I'm really proud. You pressed a bunch of invite buttons. Those people are going to get a chance to promote their business. And I've had lenders already tell me, wow, I was able to really stay close in touch with those agents. And the reason why they do is because they're connected to them in a group, and they are thankful of the opportunity to meet limitless people. So it's important. How do you work with buyers' agents now to get their offer accepted? I mean, that's a major trick right now, to get offers accepted.
Oh yeah, it is a major trick. Yes. Well, we do several things. I mean, a lot of them will call me on a Sunday, because that's usually the day that the highest and best has to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about the pre-approval. We'll send it in, and then I'll tell them, like, if the listing agent needs to call me, they're free to call me, and we can go over the deal. If I've got someone with 20% down, but my offer's higher than someone with 30% down, I'll tell them why my deal is going to go through and why my buyer should get the house. So that is, used to be, as you remember, send out the pre-approval, and usually you might have been the only offer on the house, that was it. Now you're competing against at least 4 to 5 offers, and, they'll set the deadline date, and you got to be on it. You got to be ready to go, send out that pre-approval, Sunday at 2 p.m., when they need it, and be available to speak to the seller or the selling agent.
Right. That's a big thing. And that never was the case. It seemed to me there was a real wall between the buyer side and the seller side. A lender would never speak to a listing agent before, never. Right? Never. You never did. I never did.
Didn't have to. They didn't want, they didn't need to speak to me because, they accepted the offer. Once in a while, a listing agent would call me if they never heard of me and, try and vet me out. And hope, hopefully I gave them the information that they needed to get the deal
Right.
done.
Some agent gave me a pre-approval the other day from April, and I said, "Do you see that this is April?" Have you been watching the news? I said, "You got to give it dated today."
Right. Yeah. I mean, most pre-approvals are good for 3 months, but now with the market, as we talked about, I mean, you got to be up to date within a week of that pre-approval now.
Oh yeah.
Based
Oh,
upon how quickly rates have moved, and I think this is one of the quickest moves in history.
I think it's the quickest, the largest spike, definitely.
You know, it's it's been very fast. Yeah.
It's been weeks. So
But
tell me,
another thing we do though is we'll take someone that someone usually that's been looking, that's had their offers rejected. They'll come to us, and then we can give a commitment letter based on a to be determined house. So the commitment letter is given in lieu of the pre-approval. So the
that's
seller
powerful.
knows that this person's already not just pre-approved, they're already approved, and this deal's going to work no matter what because it was looked at by an underwriter and approved.
That's key. I don't know why everyone doesn't do that.
I mean, it's you know, it's very good, very powerful, and every single deal that I gave those commitments to, they got houses. So
So
that
all
was
you need at that point is a contract and an appraisal, right? That's it.
contract and appraisal, and then obviously update bank statement or the down payment. You got to see the down payment check,
Right.
but nothing major. I
Interesting.
also, if they don't have time for that, I could also give them a DU approval, in lieu of a commitment letter, so that the seller can see that they were run through the computer and that the computer approves them.
Interesting.
That's another thing.
So have you been hearing? I'm sure I'm thinking the answer is yes. Are people looking for adjustables now for 5 or so? What are those rates? And that would get you in the home. I mean, what's been happening there?
It's not as big a spread as I'd like it to be. Right now, it's gonna eventually be bigger. I think in the next few months, but right now it's not there. So we're still basically giving 30-year fix, but you got to remember the rates will eventually come down, and this is going to be your rate forever. You're gonna refinance it.
Yeah, if you can.
I've never seen anybody keep a loan for 30 years anyway. All my years, they've always
No.
taken cash out, sold the house, refinanced to a lower rate. They've never kept a loan for 30 years.
No, that's it. I mean, what at most would be 7 to 10 years. That's most, right? Right there.
It's I would say personally, I would say it's even shorter. I would say it's like 5 years.
Right. And
most.
people they're talking about, at one point it used to be the old cultural burn your mortgage party, and then that's crazy.
That was our parents' generation.
Yeah, they did that, and
we haven't seen that. Yeah, that was a big thing. Burn the mortgage, pay it off 30 years, you're done. But people move around so much now. They don't stay in a house.
no,
I think the average is 7 years, like you said, that they stay in a house. It's and then especially in this area, you're seeing especially like Westchester, they buy the house. Once the last kid is is in college, they're going to look to downsize and get a house that the taxes are much lower.
right.
So,
I've seen that all the time. It outlives its usefulness. And there's another factor here that I was thinking about this. If you look at statistics throughout the 20th century, there were decades, there were blocks of time where appreciation didn't happen. We're dealing in your and my existence. In the 80s, there wasn't that much appreciation. It was some appreciation. We had the first boom and the second boom where people are considering a home as an investment. I mean, primary homes were designed to not be an investment. So these homes became your ATM back in the day with the HELOCs. And I think we're in a place now, let me know what you think. How is someone going to buy a house today and get some equity? Don't you think it's not going to happen?
I don't think it's going to happen for a long time because, if prices start to go down, that's what, what you were discussing, that happened in the early 2000s, I would say up to about 2006, where people looked at a house as a ATM. It was something, someone bought a house or their friend bought a house and whatever year, 2003, and then in 2005 it was worth 100,000 more, so they sold it, made a profit, and that continued until the market went bust.
Hmm.
And then now you're seeing the last 3 years. I mean, the appreciation has been tremendous, but I still feel you can't look at the house like that. You got to be smart about it. You got to know where the market is. Obviously, if you have equity and you can take out a HELOC, that's fine. But I don't think you can look at it like in that sort of way. Um, I would look at a real investment property like that. But I wouldn't look at
Well, I mean, it
a
becomes a
house.
de facto. I mean, I know a buddy's got. He says he's got $1 million of equity. I'm like, well, good. Go buy a cup of coffee because what are you going to do? Pull it out of your sheetrock? You can't do it. What good is
I
all that
mean,
equity
I
sitting
mean,
there?
he's got a lot of equity there, but if he wants to use it, he could probably get 200, 300,000 home equity. Um, but I would say the majority of people have equity, but not that much,
Hmm.
not as much as
Right.
your friend does.
And people are in such a position they don't know if the mortgage rates go to 8, and then you cut out a good 2/3 of the people that could buy it in 2021. You cut it out a
Oh,
lot.
you mean next year?
And I'm saying next year or even the end of this year. Who knows? I mean, the rates could easily be 6.5 real soon, right?
Oh, easily. They could be, they could be in the sevens shortly. The way things have been going.
Right. So now you have a guy with all this equity, and I don't care, what your income is, it gets to be rarefied air. If the rates, I mean, go from 4 to 7, I mean, you're talking about a huge difference in the monthly payment, and people are going to think stay put.
Right. And then if they're looking to sell, once again, the same problem. You have a rate in the threes right now in your house, and you're going to sell. You're going to get a rate in the sixes now. So you got to weigh
Right.
that too.
I hear you. It is different. It's a different model. We're not used to it, but I
But
think it's
in the
still
end, though, the people that want to buy now, that are out there looking to buy, are serious buyers. They know the rates are up, but it's just that time that you have to buy a house. With a lot of people, it's just that time. You got in your life things have, you know,
well. We are right now.
it's just that time. And it won't matter what the rates are. I'm not saying for the whole buying public, but I'm just saying for a good segment of the buyers, the rates are going to be what they're going to take it at whatever the rate is at this
Yeah.
point.
I mean, if that's been talked about. So if kids are graduating school, or someone dies, you're going to make that move, and if it means it's a $600 difference, you're going to maybe knock out a few dinners out. That's what the housing is paramount. So you're going to change your lifestyle, and that's why we've been hearing of the term silent recession, because the people who are a little bit of a tougher spot are not going to be doing some of the luxuries or even some of the finer things, or just even some of the better groceries. It's getting kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to happen. People are going to cut back, and that leads to a recession. So there's only so much that certain people in the middle are going to be able to pay without getting hurt. So,
Right.
but the higher end buyers out there, I mean, they're not hurt as much. This isn't really affecting the higher rates are not affecting them as much, but it's the majority that are in the middle are definitely affected. And let's see what they're going to cut back. Are they going to cut back dinner, entertainment, or are they going to cut back on uh, house? They're going to go for the lesser priced house in the with taxes.
Yeah, I think some people are going to, what about your people high LTV, high DTIs? It's going to be, they're going to have to go lower price houses. Plus, that means the cities are going to lose population because of the density. There's a lot of far-reaching factors.
Listen, you just
but
look
listen,
at, you could just look at our area. If you look at the Bronx, when people want to move out of the Bronx, but they don't want to pay the price in Westchester, they're going to go up to Dutchess County and Orange County, where they're going to pay, $200,000 for a house, and taxes are going to be about half of what they are at the same house in Westchester. So that's been going on for years.
But then you're on the road.
It's a trade-off
for years.
Yes.
But now you're in the car.
You're on the road.
You're in the car 3.
Although, with the work from home and that, if you can work from home and move away and not have that commute, then it makes sense. It's a home run for you. It all depends upon who you're talking to. I remember, and you probably remember this, when people were back in the day, in the early 2000s, they were trying to sell in Pennsylvania, $150,000 house, Poconos, and people, they were bringing people by the busloads out there to see the house, big house. Look at what your taxes are. Look at what the only thing people forgot was, hey, it's by bus to Manhattan, it's a 2-hour commute each way. So the only time you get to enjoy your house is on the weekends. So you got to look at everything.
You're right. I was going to say they were pitching. Yeah, they were pitching 90 minutes to the GW, and then you got to get over the GW. That's another thing. So,
yeah.
Well, Ed, great job today. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
My cell, 917-689-3239, or my email, eangelino@ambmortgage.com.